Go.
Maintaining a rhythm is pretty easy because the brain likes things that are repetitive or have repetition. Kind of strange how that is, huh? To understand rhythm, you first
need to understand three things, and that is music theory, how rhythm relates to music theory, and how rhythm interacts with your brain. So music theory is basically just three things. It's harmony, melody, and rhythm. And in essence, it's just it's the language that, because music is technically a different language, it's the language that artists and composers use to share their findings and their creations with the world. So the first part of music theory is the melody. So melody is basically just like this, it's like the succession of notes that sound good, and it's somewhat like rhythm because you have to have rhythm to have melody. You need a steady pacing of beats, but in melody there's more variation in where the notes are. And then harmony is basically when two notes are played on top of each other or in succession, and so that they sound good. So that, Kaitlyn, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, exactly like that. So basically it just sounds very pleasing to the ear. And so finally, rhythm. According to Plato, who is a Greek philosopher, he believed that rhythm was the most basic form of music. It was the single most fundamental thing you need in music, because you can't have harmony, you can't have melody without rhythm. And rhythm is essentially the timing, the placing, the arrangement of beats and the notes on the musical scale.
Now, moving on, I want to talk about what rhythm is and the components of rhythm. Rhythm is made up of 7 different components. This is beat, meter, time signature, tempo, strong and weak beats, syncopation, and accents. First, let's talk about beat. What is a beat? Well, a beat is the underlying tone that plays in the music, and this can be kept by something such as a metronome. And moving on. Next, and rhythm beat is also kind of like the backbone of rhythm. It's there to support the rest of the music, and everything kind of almost revolves around it. Next, I'll be talking about the meter. The meter is the kind of like, well, it's kind of like a repeating rhythm or something like that. And next, I'm going to be talking about time signature. Time signature is something that is indicated at the very top of the piece by the composer, and can be kept in something such as times 4/4, time 2/4, 3/4, 6, or even 6/8. And this can be shown an example of this right here. At the very top, it says that it has a time signature of 4/4, meaning that there are 4 beats in a single measure. However, some songs might not have a labeled time signature, such as this song right here, and that is indicated by that symbol. Next is the tempo, or rather the beats per measure. And this is kind of like made by the composer, and it indicates how slow or fast that this piece is gonna go. And you can see in this piece that the tempo is at 72, while in this piece is a little faster. Its tempo is at 132. And this is, like I said before, indicated by the composer, but however, in practice, the performer can change it a little, you know? It's really varies, and considerations such as the size of the ensemble or even the reverberation of the hall that they're performing in can vary on these effects.
To further dive into what strong and weak beats are, strong beats are the downbeats. So in a 4/4 measure, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. And the weak beats are the offbeats in between the downbeats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Syncopation is ands into those offbeats. So it could be used via an 8th note or a 16th note, which just basically are cutting a quarter note, which is the normal 1, 2, 3, 4, and half, and the 16th note does the same thing for an 8th. So it could sound like 1, 2, and 3, subordinate and a. And then there are also accents, which refer to special emphasis placed on notes in music, which normally makes it louder, so it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4. And as Master Clef refers to it, rhythm is just a bunch of notes and silences and a measure that creates an underlying beat. Silences are just times when the music stops playing, so 1, 2. Examples of instruments that focus more on rhythmic aspects would be drums, which goes into just percussions in general, piano, guitars, bass, and synthesizers. An example of drums percussion thing could be body percussion, which could just sound like, and that just provides an underlying beat that has no real melody in it, as there's no change in like kind of key or tone.
Now, referring to what Claire said earlier, I think she mentioned something about this piano here also being something that is an instrument of rhythm. Now, if you come over here, the piano has a whole set of keys, and down here are also what are called the pedals. The pedals are kind of used to like enhance or bring out certain tones in the music. So like how just a single note without one of the pedals would be like this, but a single note without the synthesizer pedal would be like this. So it lasts longer, and it kind of adds a little bit more aural or like deeper feeling to the piece. Now there are 3 pedals, but the one on the right is the most used.
All right, moving on. So Kaitlyn mentioned that music can create feelings, especially when you utilize those pedals. And we create and we feel those feelings because of 3 major parts in the brain. So one is the brainstem, another is the auditory cortices, which are just on both sides of the brain, about in the middle right here, and then the amygdala, which is right here, and then finally the cerebellum, which is right here. So basically, when you hear an auditory signal, the sound travels into your ear to what is called the cochlear nuclei, and it then travels through your brain, through all of those different parts of the brain, and then it lands on how you interpret the music. And this just means how it feels, how you feel about the music. So this could include, more somber feelings if the rhythm is slower or the beat is slower, and it could include if the music is more upbeat and fast-paced, you might be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And so what the type of music, it stimulates your amygdala, which controls your emotions. So it's the reason why you feel all those emotions when you hear those different types of music.
Now, adding on to what Shivani said about the amygdala, according to Daniel Levitin, he says that when we listen to our favorite piece of music or a song that we really like, the neurons in our brain start pulsing along with the beat that's underlying the music. So let's say that the piece of music has a beat of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and etc. And then your neurons would then start pulsing in that same beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this causes your body to kind of react like it can't help itself, like when you're listening to your favorite piece of music and you start nodding your head to the beat or even tapping your foot.
And this, what Kaitlyn was mentioning, like tapping your foot or nodding your head, this majorly relates to the iambic trochaic law. So it's a very fancy term. So iambic is a form of the noun iamb, which basically means when an individual hears groups of sounds, they'll most likely group them into groups of 2 beats, which sounds like da, 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 da. So there's an emphasis on the second beat. So it sounds very much like a heartbeat. And so this is one of the many different decisions, if you will, that listeners have to make while listening to music. So the other one is, like I said, grouping, so how they want to group syllables together, how they want to group different sounds, noises together. Then the other decision is what they want to bring into the foreground, what they wanted to leave in the background, what they really want to focus on. And that is what really brings out the feeling and the uniqueness in different people's types of music.
To show some analysis of people who can do this, one example would be John Powell and his compositions of the How to Train Your Dragon movies. In the very first song, entitled This Is Berk, it already showcases a bunch of different themes. One for the people of Berk, one for the dragons, one for Stoic, one for Astrid, and one for Hiccup. So to show an example of one of these themes, we will be playing the theme for the people of Berk. And so that kind of, as Shivani said, due to the fast pace, it's all like, oh, this is so exciting. Oh, how fun, Vikings. And then so whenever you hear it later on in music, it's all like, oh, this is about the people of Berk or just Berk in general. Another theme that shows up is Astrid's theme, which then reoccurs in the romantic flight because Astrid is the romantic character, or she's at least Hiccup's love interest, which is the main kind of title focus of her character. And so due to the slow nature of the song, the much like kind of pulled out things, it creates this more romantic feeling in our minds, allowing us to see Astrid as Hiccup's love interest. However, Hiccup's theme has a very specific place in this composition of songs. For example, in Test Flight, it's his theme and Toothless's theme that come together to make this amazing thing that many people are very able to recognize. However, Toothless's theme doesn't come up until later, which is also very representative of the hero's journey and the way it's used. So in Toothless's theme, there's a use of bagpipes, an instrument that has not yet been previously used, which creates the sense of, oh my god, what is this? This is new, this is kind of unknown, which is a very integral part in the hero's story. Someone, Hiccup, going on and meeting something unknown, new. And so then once you get to Test Drive, where they finally form this cohesive unit where they're together, it's putting these two themes together, creating this excellent piece of sound. And so then it creates this feeling of here they are together, wow. Another example, or another person that we can take notice from, is Hans Zimmer and his soundtrack. He's a Pirate, which is from the Pirates of the Caribbean, which is the very famous dun 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 dun. And the use of the minor key in the song is very important. If it was put in a major key, it brings the sense of kind of warmth, of home, of familiarity. However, putting it into minor key puts it more into this adventurous tone, this tone of unknown, what's going to happen, I don't know, it's an adventure. And so then it better correlates with who this type of person Jack Sparrow is. It's unknown, you don't know what he's going to do next. It's all very, who knows what knows.
And adding on to what Claire said and how the He's a Pirate theme is like really exciting and fast, this is because the tempo actually goes at 200 beats per measure. And each measure has 3 beats in it, so it goes at a beat of 1, 2, 3. Or rather, it go really, really fast, like 1, 2, 3, or something like that.
And then another example we can look at is Stephen Sondheim's Bean theme. This Bean theme is present in the musical Into the Woods. Now, Into the Woods is this story about these all different fairy tales like coming together from the use of a very specific vegetable, or whatever you want to call it, a bean, which makes the bean theme so integral to the story. You hear it multiple times throughout. Initially, when the Red Riding Hood is all like, I need to go to the grandma's house, and then when the baker and the baker's wife are like, what do you need to get pregnant? A cow as white as milk, hair as yellow as corn. And then later on, when the witch is all like, your father took the beans from my area and that's why you have this curse on you. It's this integral part of the story. And as Stephen Sondheim himself was saying, if you just take this theme, switch the notes around, make it a minor key, make it a major key, just kind of do like little things, you create this whole new sound that still has some semblance to the original theme, causing the sense of familiarity, but at the same time, a new feeling around it. And so then when hearing this theme, when the witch is going all like, this is what happened, this is whose fault it is, it creates a sense of revelation and, oh, I've been hearing that all throughout this. That makes sense because it's what connects every single story.
Now, in conclusion, we talked about music theory, which is made up of 3 component parts: harmony, melody, and rhythm. And rhythm is then made up of 7 more different parts, some of these being beat, measure, time signature, and syncopation. And then the rhythm then interacts with the brain by lighting up different parts as we listen to this.
And we also discussed that the way we interpret rhythm is greatly influenced by the iambic trochaic law, but of course it's not solely based on that law. And we also discussed how different interpretations of music can be drawn from different pieces of music that are very famous.
Listen to a song you haven't listened to in a while. Compare how you originally felt when you listened to the song between how you feel now. It can be the same, it's fine. However, what makes you feel that way? What attributes in that music, be it meter, time signature, tempo, just the underlying beat, how does that affect how you're feeling while listening to it? Feel free to do a little boogie.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.